I will.
All right, there we go.
Welcome,
Greetings and
What's up,
welcome.
salutations.
everybody? We got any echoes or anything weird like that going on?
Not that I can hear.
All right. Self-destruct, it's
I'm
nice to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah. Oh, now there's an echo.
Can you turn up just a little bit on your end?
On mine. Yeah, I have it set to auto, but yeah.
Gotcha. Well, we'll get started then. I'm glad everybody's here. Whoever's going to watch it and can watch it later. But, Brody, you mentioned something last week while we were talking. I think you used the term, I could be wrong, I think you used the term irony poisoning.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
on my
and-
mind a lot lately, so I'm glad we're talking about it today.
Yeah, I think you did it in conjunction with, who's your boy that wrote Infinite Jest?
Oh yeah, David Foster Wallace.
David Foster Wallace. Yeah. What's funny is before I haven't like talked about that guy or thought about him and since since we became friends, but before that in maybe like 10 or 15 years. Like
Yeah,
he was, I mean, I knew him before then, but he was like really early YouTube. Like he saw a spike in popularity when YouTube first launched, after his suicide and all that.
yeah, probably
And,
his like he did. I think it was like Kenyon College. He did a
Yep.
really famous commencement speech that's really big on YouTube.
I think
I
he still
think- What were you gonna say?
I think he still had the Axl Rose bandana at
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
His signature look. But I think his stuff is honestly more important now than ever, just with the current state of culture and society, if you will.
Now, who
We
did you
live in a
say again?
society, as Stony Mick said. Let me pull him up.
Who did you say again?
David Foster Wallace.
Yeah, I thought that's who you said. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he-
Brody, you want to go into that real quick? You have a more recent analysis of him than I do.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of his stuff. I've either listened to his audiobooks or read like nearly all his stuff, but the major thesis that he worked through and like all his work was kind of how to live a fulfilling life, but specifically how to live a fulfilling life in an age where things aren't meant to fulfill you. And kind of what he saw as a big outcome of these things not fulfilling us was using irony as kind of a shield against having meaningful, genuine connections. He's kind of seen as like a forefather of new sincerity or metamodernism, postmodernism. A lot of those terms kind of get thrown around with him.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. I mean, I think irony, unfortunately, is a shield, and I think it ultimately results from cowardice. And like that's a harsh term, I know, but I think sometimes you need to use harsh terms to like define what something really is. I mean, I understand fear and I understand insecurity and I understand so the idea of needing a defense mechanism and such. I mean, we're in the internet for God's sake.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're going to get ripped apart for showing anything, and it's like that kind of cycle though. Like if you are sincere on the internet, you're going to get like ripped apart. But if you hide behind it, you just add to like the cloud and the miasma of awfulness.
Yeah. Are either of you guys familiar with, it was like a big meme a couple years ago. This guy made a video where he was trying out for SNL and it was like very try hard. He made like a whole song and the internet just ripped him apart. And like I'll admit, like it was pretty cringe to watch. Like it didn't feel good to watch, but like at the same time I'm watching, it's like, why is this so awful to me? Like this is a guy who just really wants to be on SNL and is trying his hardest to get on there, but like that like in that moment I was just like, is this irony poisoning? Like it's hard to tell with some of these things because like he's being genuine, he's being sincere, but at the same time it's like, God, this is hard to watch. And it's things like that where it's like, am I too far in, or is this guy actually doing something stupid? And it's moments like those when I'm like, when do we know if we've gone too far with irony poisoning? Where it's like, is every genuine, kind of stated emotional state, or kind of trying to figure out how to phrase it, but like any genuine attempt at showing your emotions, is it always going to just come back to being like, oh, this guy's cringe? I think that's the big fear, is being called cringe on the internet.
both irony and sincerity, just coming off too sincere or not sincere enough. Super cringe, or somebody's just trying to be ironic. I don't like using the word cringe, but trying to be too ironic when things don't require it, or I mean, well, all the degrees of irony as well. It's like you could think about Deadpool or whatever, and then like, yeah, some of the stuff lands really well, and then some of the stuff is just a little too much.
Oh yeah, for sure. Deadpool's a great example of it because it's trying to be, a parody of the superhero while still being a superhero movie. And like I think that kind of irony, the wink wink nudge nudge of it has
Yeah.
infected a lot of media. I mean, that's basically what Ryan Reynolds does in every one of his movies now, is just like, hey, can you believe I just did that? Can you believe you're watching this stupid action movie? It's like, just let me turn my brain off and enjoy the action movie without you reminding me every couple minutes. But like what you were saying with like coming off too sincere, like I also see this thing where like someone can make a sincere attempt at something, but then because of the way our brains are wired to think now, it almost like you immediately think like, what's the cynical angle behind this? I really like that comment. I may be cringe, but I am free. That's the state we need to get to. But like I'll see something where it'll be someone genuinely like, I don't know, promoting their belief in something, and just immediately like instinctual, like, what's the cynical angle? Like what are you
Mhm.
trying to get from this? Is this for clout? Is this like your
Yeah.
genuine belief? And maybe that's just like something on my end, but I know I'm not the only one who has that gut reaction when you see that on, especially on the internet. It always feels like there's got to be something behind it that's like, oh, is
Well,
this
there's a
a
sense of
grift?
jadedness and just the lens that we view everything, just because that's what we've been conditioned, how we've been conditioned, rather.
And I think we're also just in the age of grifters too. Beautiful.
Actually, I am immune to propaganda.
I think we're in an age of
Yeah,
like a lot of
age of grifters.
grifters
That's well put.
where like, yeah, so you can't really tell anyone's intention. So it always feels like you're gonna have to like, I don't know, it feels like you can never trust anyone on face value, which I think goes to the whole like lack of sincerity. Is just there's automatically like the like, what's the gain from this? Is it clout? Is it money? Is this an opportunity for you? Like that's always what goes in my mind, and that can't be a healthy way of looking at things. But at the same time, it feels like you can't take anything at face value.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think we've been conditioned for cynicism, and there's an example of that. I mean, it's kind of like this is. I don't want to get super heady or whatever.
No, this is the place to do it. Get real
Yeah.
heady.
What's up, Greg Loud? He's a good guy. He's in a group chat of ours. Dostoevsky's The Idiot.
Mm.
I think that's probably the best example of it. Of course, he's like the idiot is also like a Christ figure, but I mean that goes hand in hand with the sincerity of everyone who meets this guy can't believe him, and he's just the nicest, best person ever. But you can't believe him. Like, what are you
Yeah,
supposed to do? You know?
I like in our me and Dan's private conversations, he compared Prince Mishkin, the idiot, to Hank Hill, and I think that's a really apt comparison. He's just a good man in a world of bad men.
That's what's
Well, there's
funny
the
about.
full,
Go
yeah.
ahead, go ahead, self destruct.
Well, there's the full archetype as the precursor to the savior, right? You have
Yeah.
to, lose everything before you can. I guess that includes trust as well. But
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, Stoney, the uncomfortable truth is that the entire foundation of our idea of a good person and a hero in Western civilization is Christ. Like there's no getting around that. Like it's uncomfortable because it's so pervasive, and it is like we don't like to look at it, but I mean that's in Western tradition. Our entire ideology is built off of Christendom.
Well, and Jesus is like the archetype of that, like
Yeah.
in any kind of salvific figure, and with like Prince Mishkin specifically, like Dostoevsky had said, like, yeah, it's a Christ metaphor, like that was very kind of explicit. But yeah, like I think The Idiot is a great example, and I do go back to that time in Russia a lot in like I think there's a lot of really interesting parallels historically between what was going on in Russia at the time and what I feel like we're going through now, because that's what was the birth of like the modern nihilism movement. You saw essentially all the young people were like, fuck everything, let's burn it to the ground. And that was kind of the youth movement at the time was like anarcho nihilism, because they saw the corruption in the Russian state and couldn't see any way out of it. And a lot of Dostoevsky's work was in reaction to that. But I do see with a lot of both culturally and politically a lot of that same nihilistic tendency to want to just tear everything down without a positive vision for the future. And I think that like that goes to the ironic disposition, because I think you have to be pretty detached. And like I myself fall into nihilism as well. I think it's pretty easy to these days, but I think there's a real distinction between passive nihilism and active nihilism, where with passive you're just letting these things happen and you just throw your hands up and accept it, whereas taking the active nihilism is very much taking an active role, trying to if everything is meaningless, trying to build meaning into your reality, into your life. And that's kind of the path I try to take when I find myself in a nihilistic headspace.
Well, like you said about grifters, right? The age of grifters, right? It's like we could try to find a deeper meaning in what they're, judging their body language. They're, trying to judge their sincerity by their facial expressions, and it's like, so we might try to put more into something than someone is even giving us, and just we're creating more work for ourselves in trying not to be nihilistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to find a little meaning into give somebody the benefit of the doubt, right?
That's what I saw someone comment about Hassan Piker, because there was like one stream where he went and like made food for like 20 minutes and his chair was empty and the chat was going and someone was like, oh my God, he's done it. He's got like a self-fulfilling chat. He doesn't have to do anything. Like he can just run a blank microphone and they'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's like
the chat's very important.
It's a Sonic Christ figure.
I think he thinks he is.
But yeah, with the I think the whole grifter thing, especially in how it's infected our politics, where it's not even ideologically driven. Like there's the surface ideology, whether right or left, but like what we've seen with like a lot of, especially the internet is very good at finding a way of revealing people's true characters. Like fucking what's his name, Tim Pool is like getting money from the Russian government. Like,
y'all know he's bald.
Yeah, that's the big grift. Yeah, he's trying to be part of Big Hair, the pro hair lobby. But like he's actively taking money from the Russian government. Like we know that for a fact. And then now I don't know if either of you have seen all the shit coming out about Destiny, where he's like a fucking doing revenge porn and talking to 17-year-olds and
so
shit.
Weird, yeah.
Exactly. So it's like the true nature of these people comes out and it reveals the grift. It's very cynical. Like obviously in Destiny's case, he just wanted to have a cult of loyal followers who would just listen to everything he says. So whether it's driven by money, like in Tim Pool's case with the whole Russia stuff, or it's just kind of clout, there's always seems to be some ulterior motive. And what sucks is like some of these people can probably start from a genuine place, but then they see what happens when like they have a certain talking point. I think it's what we saw with a lot of like Republican right-wing kind of commentators pre and after Trump in 2016. Like Ben Shapiro was very anti-Trump. He was like, this guy sucks. And then as soon as he's like, oh shit, people actually like Trump, he's like, okay, I'll start defending him. And it's
jump
like,
on it. Yeah,
exactly. So it's following trends. And again, it's just very cynical. And if like these are the people who are supposed to be kind of the voices of reason, the punditry, whatever, it's like it just feels like it's very easy to get jaded, like you were saying, self-destruct. Like it just kind of feels like the immediate go-to when you feel like you can't trust anyone.
It just becomes a lens that we have to view everything through. It's like, well, do we trust? Do we trust Tim? Do we trust this guy? Do we trust that guy? Do we trust these talking heads? And it's like, I've discarded all of that stuff. Just I don't. I don't have time for any of this stuff
Yeah.
either. So that plays into it. It's just like minimizing of the self, so that less stuff influences the self. Maybe.
Oh no, I think that's for sure a good point. Is like I do think a part of like solving the irony poisoning crisis or whatever you want to call it is removing yourself from the situation.
I think so, and that's actually where I was thinking to go with this when I was thinking about it earlier today. Is how do you get by it? How do you get past it from yourself? And of course, like, well, the answer is sincerity. Well, how do you get sincerity? And like the only thing I can think of is like the prophet or the prophetic idea, which is isolation, solitude.
Yeah.
Which the old guy goes up on the mountain, gets enlightened, coming out like a Zarathustra, that kind of idea. I think that's all you can do. I think I quote it all the time on Twitter, but from Ender's Game, where he said he made the point that isolation breeds creativity, and I think that's just a reality. I believe, and I think collaboration can help, but we're in such a massively interconnected world. Eyes are always on you all the time, and they're always going to be there. And the only way I think to not be aware of them and therefore get to a better place is solitude.
Well, to detach, not have every little thing mean that you necessarily have to reply to it or something, or give it energy, give it anything, because that grifter mindset will have people what do you call it, engagement farming, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Miku Field. What I think, circling back to just kind of the general like thesis of this conversation, irony poisoning, and what sucks is there are genuine uses for irony, because like when irony in our modern context arose with like the postmodern kind of writers of the 60s, Thomas Pynchon and Don DeLillo, like those writers who used it to kind of critique the new phase of culture that was arising at the time. It did have like a very useful meaning in that. Like it is good to deconstruct these things in some sense, but then the problem lies in the other side of once you've deconstructed what else is there. So like that's again going back to Dave Foster Wallace, who was very much in reaction to the postmodern authors who had come before him. And he saw this path of deconstructing everything, of having that ironic disposition towards things and seeing where it leads, and trying to find a way to use the aesthetics of irony, but for a sincere goal. And that's where I think there is usefulness in irony, and especially now, specifically, I was part of a multi-city protest against the techno capital god at the end of time this past Friday. Again, it was like a big AI kind of protest, but for the Charlotte branch that I was organizing with me and my buddies, we wanted to kind of have it be part performance art, but still like have our voice our genuine concerns about it. So I dressed up in a clerical robe, and we had signs that had like just schizo ramblings about AI. We made a pamphlet. So like using the irony to kind of, get people's attention and get people to like listen to the genuine concerns we have, use the veneer of irony to push forward a genuine message. And that's where I think irony can be really interesting and very useful, is like, especially in an age where people have come to accept irony as the go-to disposition, use that to kind of subvert itself, if that makes sense.
Wasn't that some of the discussion around the comedian Sam Hyde? Was that he had approached, was it super or meta irony they were trying to say?
Yeah, it was part of that whole iDubbbz documentary.
That was such a blow up in his face.
It turned out all to be a prank.
Like, man, you tried to troll a guy that's like 70 pounds heavier than you and way funnier than you. It's not gonna work.
But yeah, that's that is a like kind of people talked about like the tactics of the right, or like the alt-right, and like kind of falling down the alt-right pipeline is a lot of times, it'll start on 4chan boards, you're making ironically racist jokes, and then after a certain point, it's not irony. It's kind of, there's some quote where it's like, be careful who you pretend to be, because eventually that's who you become. So I think like you have that ironic disposition for so long that just becomes what you are. You know, if that's your go-to, then where is the genuine you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I think that goes back to the cowardice thing. I think that works both ways. Like when you're trying to actively hide yourself for like art or grifting, versus when you want to admit what you actually believe, even to yourself. So you joke about something. And Stony Mick, I'm not trying to leave you hanging, man. I think I discovered the dialectic method. Yeah, I have a lot of opinions on that. I don't really care for what the dialectic method is or used right now politically. I've tried to think about the dialectic a lot, and usually what happens is that it presents two opposites and then tries to synthesize them, when really what it just tries to do is make one win out over the other one. And I think that's pretty much all it has ever done. The more I look at it, I don't think it is a great philosophical tool. I think it has kind of been hyped up more useful than it actually is. But I think that's a topic for another day. But I think it does also play in some way to this discussion with irony, because it is kind of a dialectical method where you're presenting an idea and then you're presenting it ironically, and you are trying to synthesize the two, but the point is to be sincere on the other side of the thing you try to deny to begin with, if that makes sense.
Because I think that comment was in reference to what I was talking about. At least that's when I think it popped up, about like using the veneer of irony to push a sincere message. And there definitely is the dialectic to that, and it like kind of is a synthesis of those two things. And I do think, like you're saying, I think the dialectic method has merit as a tool, but I don't think that's all there is. And I don't think every set of opposite ideas was meant to be synthesized just because, like, it's just a tool that you can use.
Well, you know, in theory, anything can make an idea or whatever more hardy, right? Little combat, right? But not everything will do that. Sometimes, well, you know, there's the bad faith thing. It's like sometimes people come in just to undermine anything you will say.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And there's no point, you know, trying to look into someone else's inner reasoning. Like, why are they just always coming at me about this or about anything I say?
Yeah, especially when you have an internet full of trolls, you know, like it's bound to happen. And I think like the troll mentality is very much that ironic disposition taken to a max, where it's just like, oh, I'm going to have fun just shitting on other people. Like, it's like sometimes the trolling can be like, some people, I'm going to be real, they deserve to be trolled. Like, it's just like, it can't be helped.
I agree with that.
But then, like, going back to that fucking guy trying to get on SNL, I don't like, it was cringe, yes, but I don't think he deserved to have the entire internet hating on him for like a couple weeks just because he really wanted to be on SNL.
Oh yeah, I think there's a difference between like joking, trolling, and like downright trying to tear someone down. I think that's the thing too. I think that spiral is happening where someone does something either sincere or ironic, and then people approach it usually in irony, and to hide their own sincerity in response to it, and it just keeps going on and on and on. And I think what you were saying, self-destruct, especially with grifters, like especially with the internet, that's what's so hard, man. It's so hard to see this idea of, is someone being sincere? And I kind of like, I forget who said it, but the idea of like you're pouring more into someone than you're getting back, basically. And that's something Josh and I talked about.
Emotional labor.
Yeah, and well, that's something Josh and I discussed heavily, with the idea of when you make something, especially in art, you don't want to be a grifter. You don't want to take from people. You don't want to be a douche. Like, you want to give people more than what they're giving you, even though they're giving you money. You want to go over the top and make it feel like they got more than their money's worth. And like the only way to do that is to build a reputation doing it over and over and over. You can't sell that. You can't sell an idea to people, because people rightfully are cynical in some ways, you know?
Well, yeah, that's one thing I've seen with specifically like political commentators, kind of the thing. And interestingly enough, it's both in part in reaction to the whole like kind of grifter economy, but also to I saw some people talking about in the future, like you can get news bites, like AI will be summarizing your news bites. Like you'll get a 15-minute news thing in the morning summarized by AI, and what's going to drive people to listen to actual people, talking about these things and trying to have a honest conversation versus AI. And it kind of goes to the point you were talking about, Dan, of like doing this thing over and over again, building that relationship with the audience so they know that it's genuine, and I do think that's important in the internet age where, one, you have the ability to build that audience, but two, you kind of like you almost have to build that audience so that like people know that you're a human being. Almost, it's so easy to forget that, like when it's just a username on the other side of the world. But like we're all humans here except for the fucking bots, and they need to be destroyed. But that's a topic for another day.
Not only do you have to build it, you have to maintain it.
Yeah,
but there is a point where that there's kind of a breakdown of everybody. I'll say like, well, so I've been around this Comicsgate group for a long time, and then there's this Cynic can probably state it better than I could, but there's been some people that haven't fulfilled their books. They've waited 4 years or whatever, and they say, oh, I'm going to add another 100 pages to it, and it's just them doing it. It's just them writing and drawing it. So then there's another 4 years down the line.
Yeah.
And there's a few guys who have gotten, let's say, a front page billing, whatever, and then they just left for whatever reason, right? Or they had various reasons. And whether they're good reasons or not, there's an erosion of trust because we see, these people dropping off or these people bailing out because they have issues. They maybe don't want to be with the group any longer, and maybe they never needed to be with the group either. And that's one of the things that really stood out to me about Dan and Josh is like, you have this thing, this universe, this massive thing that you can try to sell to someone, and it's like, how do you phrase that, and how do you kind of pitch that to a new little market that you're trying to get into while maintaining your authenticity, your sincerity, and not trying to be one of the group, but just trying to stand on your own merits. And there's people who will kind of just specifically not even look at your stuff because they're part of this hive mind or such, right? So I don't know what I'm saying here.
No, I think you brought up
there's a mess of stuff.
No, I think within that mess of stuff, there was some really good points. When you're kind of talking about like the distinction between trying to specifically with Godfo, but I think it goes for any creative endeavor. We were trying to build this thing that's important to you and you want it to be important to other people, genuine human expression. And I think you brought up like the other side of being marketing. And I think the marketing side of things is where like the cynicism really comes in. I do think for the most part, marketing is kind of cynical. It's manipulation. It's trying to get you to, depart with your money for this thing. And I think that's the thing, because if you're trying to sell just a product, then it's whatever, but if you're trying to sell art, that's where it kind of gets difficult with like the promotion and marketing of it. And that's always been like the thing I've fucking hated the most about making art is like once it's done, I just kind of wish I could like put it on the ether and let people find it. But I'm like, if I want to do this for a career, I know that's not how this works. So you got to play the game, and the fact that it's a game inherently lends to the cynicism of it all.
Yeah, and what has to happen is, I think, is just telling the truth, and just that's hard. And it's hard to be vulnerable in that. It's hard to, but what you have to do is you have to work on the back end to make something you can tell the truth about. And, like, I'd be more for, like, let's just take this, for example, like, this isn't to open this can of worms. It's just, since we're talking comics and indie comics in general, 3D assets existed in comics for a long time.
Right.
It didn't become a problem until a very prominent YouTuber started a comic channel and very lazily used them, very obviously. And now it's a problem. And had it been something that that person had just said, okay, we use them, or from the back end, which was the more important thing, if you had done and used it well, it'd be even easier to be honest about it because it would have done better and looked better, if that makes sense. If you start with like a good foundation of quality or at least competence,
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah,
it's
that- you got
easier
it.
to build.
Well, yeah, and like off that point, like trust with your audience, you know, that like you're doing this because like 3D assets, I think it's like any other tool, it's about how you use it. And I think if you're using it well, if you're using it to enhance the art in whatever way you want, then you know it just goes towards your honest human expression. But like with anything, any tool that can make your job easier, what have you, it is easy to fall into the trap of I'll just throw this behind it and not put in effort. If it comes down to again like building that trust with your audience that they know they're getting a good piece of art and it's not just again cynically made to cash in on something.
Because
Because that's
the
like
further erosion of trust is lying about it. Is saying no, there's no
Yeah.
3D, there's no whatever, there's no AI writing, or there's no AI drawing, whatever.
And I'm assuming the AI conversation will only grow in that regard of like, no, trust me, this is real art. Because like I think we're still at the point where like if you have a keen enough eye, you can usually tell what's AI and what's not. But like I'll admit, like it's getting really fucking good, especially on like the video front. Like they're capturing like human faces, like they're getting outside the uncanny valley, and that trust is gonna only need to be more important as we get further into this new era where AI could be making anything. And if you don't have that trust with your audience, I mean, accusations are going to be flying, I feel like, of anyone you don't like. It's just like, oh, they're using AI for whatever they're making.
Yeah, and I think
scripts, yeah.
I think AI. I wrote a Substack on it. I think AI will reach a point. The generation under us are just going to grow up with it, and I think it'll be so far integrated into their life that they won't care. And with that, you're going to get a mass democratization of art, which means 99% of it's going to suck. But I mean, that's just how it is. Anytime any kind of art becomes mass democratized, like what dolls did for music production, digital audio workstations like Pro Tools and Auto Tune and that kind of stuff, you're just going to get a lot of crap, more crap. But you're also going to get some genius kid, probably some insufferable YouTuber that you have to admit is talented, using AI to make something that is cool. Like that's going to happen. And he's going to get ripped off a lot. And that's going to suck even more. But I think it's because there's always going to be human genius that's going to use a tool that works. And there's always going to be human incompetence that uses a tool and it sucks. And I think sincerity is just a big part of it. I think, like I said, I think there'll be kids that grow up using it sincerely and will sincerely make something cool with it. And we can have the is it art debate later. But I think that's, to me, that's the positive, optimistic triumph of the human spirit.
Well, and it's the same kind of thing we saw with the internet. I feel like the internet, the trajectory of the internet and the trajectory of what we're seeing with AI are very similar, down to like the whole kind of conversations of the AI bubble right now. Very similar to what happened in the early 2000s with the internet. But I think in the same way you're talking about, some people will use it for very sincere artistic purposes. That's the same thing we saw with like YouTube and social media in the beginning. You know, we had, and we still do have people trying to use these platforms to push interesting, new, unique art. But on the flip side, the gatekeeping aspect of the art and entertainment industries is gone now. So you do get a flood of just shit that like slop that doesn't really mean anything. That is just like meets the base definition of content. And that's kind of, I think it's going to take a lot of wherewithal in people to sift through all the garbage to find the good stuff. I mean, dude, when I get to work in the morning, I'm a welder. I work with a lot of older guys. When I get to work in the morning, I go to the bathroom. You know, I take care of business, and usually it's the same old guy in the stall next to me, and he'll just be watching AI TikToks where it's like telling you a story, and I'm like, is that really how you want to be spending your time? Like this can't be good for your brain.
He's like, yes, just leave.
Yeah. No, the same. I think he was also part of a cryptocurrency rug pull, so he's not the wisest in terms of staying safe on the internet.
Oh man, yeah, I think that if we, and this is getting a little whatever, but like nihilism, that term's come up, and nihilism is a deeper idea than we usually just use it for. It doesn't just mean believing nothing. It's that you can't believe anything because you don't have a means to justify anything. It ties in with Nietzsche's Death of God, and he understood that philosophically. And we can have this debate if we have to, again, of objective versus subjective. But I think he really well understood that if you don't have that foundation, you don't have anything. And the real scary part about nihilism is that even if you want to build off of something, if you have no foundation, there's nothing to build. And I think irony, in the way we're talking about irony, poisoning, and cowardice, and having to hide behind something, it just adds to that. If you can't be sincere and you can't be honest, can you really make anything? Because at least, you know, like a show like Seinfeld, which was a postmodern show and a heavily ironic show, it at least had the goal of comedy. And because comedy, real pure comedy, is an undeniable objective reality. You laugh or you don't laugh.
Yeah.
And the real comedians will tell you that. True comedians say that. They'll say, like, something's either funny or it isn't. And that was a problem a lot of guys had with the anti-comedy that came out, like The Office and Parks and Rec and that kind of stuff, where, like, you're laughing at the fact that it is supposed to be stupid or it is supposed to be a show. And but those things work whenever they are genuinely funny. No, like, I think that's how art is. I think that's comedy. I think that's why it's so hard for outright ironic, nihilistic ideas to last in comedy, is because it's either funny or it isn't. And once it's funny, it's no longer any of those things. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Have either of you guys heard of the movie The Comedy with Tim Heidecker?
I know Tim. Maybe let me look it up.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Much of that guy.
I love Tim and Eric. Awesome show, great job.
Yeah.
But
I haven't seen this, but I do know this film. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of like the anti-comedy guys are in it from the 2000s. Is Tim and Eric, Greg Turkington. It's very different than Tim and Eric, where it's like a very slow burn, but kind of showing like it's kind of both like I'm trying to think, like, both a critique of anti-humor, anti-comedy, but also the kind of like Bushwick hipsterdom of the like 2000s that was very drenched in irony. And it feels almost like apocalyptic or dystopian, but not in the typical sense of like, you know, an authoritarian government. It's like these middle-aged men who have just been so drenched in irony that like they're like laughing at things that aren't even funny. The only way they can find any enjoyment in life is if it's an ironic joke. Like, it gets to this one point where Tim has a woman over and she just starts having a seizure, and his only reaction is to stare at her. And it's such a haunting scene because it's like this guy is so devoid of any genuine emotion that like that's the only reaction. And I think it came out in like the 2010s, but I do think that like that's a very good example of where we're at. And like, this is some lateral kind of jumping between these topics, but it reminds me of a situation that I think just happened over the weekend. This French streamer died on Kick, like just straight up fucking died because he was part of like, he was like this, like not in a good mental health space and stuff. And he got brought into this group of streamers where they were just basically abusing him. Like all their content revolved around people paying them money to see this guy do more and more fucked up stuff. Like they would strangle him, just beat him up and all this stuff. So he went 10 days of streaming and taking all this abuse and then just closed his eyes and just never woke up. And this all happened on Kick while people were paying money to see this. And if that isn't like kind of tying it back to what I was saying about the comedy and him just staring at this woman having a seizure, we have a whole generation staring at this guy literally dying. And it's for entertainment, it's for comedy. It's like, is that how devoid we are of having genuine empathy for others, that like you can be paying for this person to basically die? Like, it's just
that's some
so
Black
fucked
Mirror
up
right there.
Yeah, literally.
Enjoying watching people self-destruct.
Yeah,
I mean, completely. So there's a.
That's what the song "Vicarious" was about.
oh yeah.
Okay, I see that. No, wait. Comedy, anything, just the nature of streaming with monetization, a big chat or whatever can just criticize things, pull them down to such a level that they just crumble. It's like, yeah, let's watch somebody, completely self-destruct. Let's watch somebody obliterate themselves. Let's watch, cam girls, whatever, right? Just, completely debase yourself for what? Clout, currency, I don't know.
Yeah. When well, I just wanted to real quick respond to what Stony Mick was saying about Kick being the sewer of the internet, because it is. Like, they have the least regulations and stuff. Like, people think Twitch is bad, but they'll at least try the bare minimum to like moderate their content. But like the fact that we're even at a place where like you can see someone die and it's not on like Live Leak or like the dark web, it's just out in the open. Because like I do agree, if you're on Kick, you're probably not a good person. But it's interesting to think, like, how do you get to that point where that's the content you're consuming? Like how far removed from empathy do you have to be where that's the enjoyment? Where not only you're viewing this as entertainment, but you're paying for it. You're paying to continue this thing, like monetarily funding someone's death. Like how does someone get to that point?
Yeah. How do you become
Death of God.
how do you become so detached from it, from like basic human empathy?
Yeah, because again, another comment: the world has always had people, and I'm assuming that's like the world has always had people who do that. And for sure, I mean, there have always been people with fucked up, proclivities, if you will. But that was always relegated to like the farthest fringes of the internet, or not the internet, but of culture. I mean, there's that book Apocalypse Culture back in like the late 80s, early 90s that was like documenting all these fringe groups. And it was like, oh, this person's into necrophilia. This person thinks they're a werewolf. And that was in the 80s. Like, that's tame now. This guy can just die on the internet while people watch. And like, that's almost mainstream. Oh yeah, medieval torture was a real thing. And like torture was a public spectacle.
Yeah.
But at least there was community around that. Like, at least you were in a real space with people. But now you're just behind a keyboard.
I just want a meme of the guillotine and a guy in it saying, "Chat, is this real?"
Well, there's the whole voyeurism thing, right? It's just, like you said, it's public spectacles.
Yeah.
Take it to the public square, guillotines.
Yeah. But like, at least you were in like a real, not defending, killing people in public space, but at least you're around real people. And Kick has communities in the same way 4chan has communities. You're behind a keyboard. Like, I consider a real community as a healthy thing where you're in person with people, or even this is a much healthier version of community where we're actually talking about these ideas. Kick is a self-masturbatory community of vile human beings, Like, I think it's because at least like, it's fucked up to say, but like when there was, because torture was the predominant form of punishment in medieval times, how people were flogged in front of people, but it was like it was a genuine community event. People brought their kids and stuff. It was more than just the pure cynical voyeurism, like you were talking about, self-destruct. I think there's weirdly enough, I do think there is a distinction
in public.
Yeah,
it's like, don't do this, otherwise this is what happens.
Yeah.
No, now we do this for fun.
Yeah, it's lost. Like, there's something Dan always talks about is like the demystification of things, and like the fact that even the public square voyeurism of like the gladiator fight or torture has lost the mystification, because life and death should always have an inherent, weight to it, but the fact that it can be content, which I think content is the lowest form of something you can consume. It's meant to be
Agreed.
discarded, whereas like these things actually had, I think, the weight to it back then. I think it's the context in which these things are being viewed.
I think so, and we can go back and forth on, the political weaponization of it, but the idea back in the day of public torture or public execution was a catharsis for a crime that was broken. The community is bringing joint judgment down on someone who doesn't belong in the community anymore. Like, so this guy hurt a child or this guy stole something. That's a group punishment. Everyone sees what happens, and everyone also acknowledges it. It's kind of like the opposite of the Epstein stuff. Now it's being hidden. The whole point is that nothing is hidden. We're bringing it out. It's out in the open. We see, and you see the weight of it, and you see this is what happens if you steal something or if you do something awful to somebody. But it is different than it just a weird. I mean, I'm sure some people in the audience may have had a weird, pleasurable like association with seeing someone tortured and killed, but I mean, it's not the same as monetizing it on a screen.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the context of it that makes it even more the ultimate crime. But like it truly is like the context of it that makes it so much more sickening. The detachment of it. It's what's the book? It's Bret Easton Ellis. It was his first one. Less Than Zero is all about that ironic detachment, that nihilistic disposition, like just pure apathy. Like I think apathy is really the thing I'm trying to go for in this.
Reptilian.
Yeah, exactly. It's when you're able to be so disconnected and apathetic to something. That's even more like, at least with like, it's weird to have to be defending public torture, but in this context, it's at least better. Like there's people were cheering, they'd be throwing shit. Like there's more to it. It's like it has the aspect of ritual to it in like, a public space, people gathered for a purpose, whereas this is purposeless and apathetic. It's only meant to feed the hole in you that you need to be satisfied, and then until you're on to the next piece of content. The fact that
let me ask you about the tribalism aspect of it, like the in group, out group. Okay, this person did something or is alleged to have done something, right? So then they are and let's take it way down and just say, okay, this person is on somebody's bad side for saying one thing. So somebody with a large audience retweets and puts them on blast, just like, hey guys, check out this idiot, right here. Can you believe it? So then 800 people pile in right away into somebody, and
I definitely agree that it has the tribalism, and this is a point that David Foster Wallace made with his work, was that a lot of these things we're seeing are base human, they would happen whether we had the technology or not, but now we have technology that amplifies it, and now that like the technology is there, it again, it's the context changes of these things, where tribalism in like the ancient sense, of like in group, out group, it's a survival mechanism, we still have all these survival mechanisms in us, but it's almost like we don't know what to do with them now in this modern context, where at least if you're in person and it's a survival thing of this person has wronged the tribe, we got to throw them out, or this is tribal warfare. There's the aspect of a life or death situation of a much more serious stakes, but now it's that same mechanism in the brain that's being operated on, but now it's this person said something on Twitter we don't like, but then that same part of the brain is activated.
Oh yeah, and back in the day, like being able to label punishment or turn someone into a pariah came with a position such as, like a religious or a political position like a king or something, but with that position came responsibility. And that's the problem we're seeing, is that if someone can sick a horde of their followers on people to do horrific things to their private life, there's no responsibility for that. And I'm not calling for someone to be punished for the actions of another person like that, but it is such a gray area now. And I mean, that gets into anonymity on the internet versus not. I genuinely believe it is 99% of the time better to not be anonymous and speak with your chest if you believe something, and that cuts through the cynicism. But that's also a naive view in our world. Like, you can't be a legit journalist somewhere trying to leak actual corruption and throw your name out there. You're going to get off like within seconds, for example, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. The anonymity of it, like, that goes to the whole trolling thing. Half these people wouldn't be doing that shit if they had their faces on their profile picture, you know, or their actual name. Like, I mean, that's the thing too, is like, you see people talk so much shit and have such insane opinions on the internet. You meet that person on the street, they're not going to say any of that stuff. Like, the anonymity gives them that shield the same way irony gives them that shield.
Oh yeah. And
That's
like I said, I think, I mean, that's a touchy subject. I get it, you know. Like, I don't think people should be exposed on the internet. I think anonymity on the internet is a good thing overall. I don't think it's worth sacrificing. I think just morally, to make a healthier society, it'd be better to say things you believe honestly and truthfully with your face, you know?
Yeah. Well, and like, going back to like kind of comparing situations of today to like medieval times or whatever, like, the Twitter is essentially the town square of now. But at least if you were the crazy person in the town square shouting your opinions, you were there. People could physically hurt you. But now you have the town square without any of the repercussions of being in the town square. It just again, it's like the same mechanisms, but they're just amplified or just exacerbated with all our modern technology.
And what's
There are
funny
tons
is
of repercussions to anything. It's like actions have consequences, and somebody, you know, like you said earlier, 4chan, right? I haven't been on there forever, but somebody just pulling up your IP address, finding out everything about you, and then all of a sudden you get a knock at the door or something.
Yeah.
And, whatever the hell. And there's that stuff that goes on with Twitter, with Twitch, whatever else, right? Swatting, but not just swatting. It's like somebody can really realistically track a person down and follow them for months. And
Oh yeah, for
find out
sure.
their routine and who knows what.
my favorite
So
with that.
I see
is-
value in anonymity.
Oh yeah,
my-
for sure.
My favorite with that is like it's an old like Facebook exchange where like people are arguing and this guy goes, "I got your address," and the guy goes, "I
Yeah.
already know my address, moron."
That's the best comeback.
What good does that do me?
Well, and like, I do agree with you. There's a lot of merit to you know, anonymity on the internet, but like most of the things in the internet age, they're all double-edged swords, and it's about finding that balance. Because that's the thing, is like, I don't think, like, social media has done irreversible damage to our society, but it's also done so much good stuff. I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now if it weren't for the internet. And like, even the event we hosted that was in person, and I'm glad we did it in person on Friday for the whole AI thing, that was all coordinated over social media. So there are a lot of very good benefits, but just like anything, there's also you know, the flip side where these things kind of suck.
I think so, and I don't like cutting to the root of things so quickly, and just trying to run off of it. But I think it just comes down to courage. I think it comes down to being willing to look like a fool. I think you can't make art, you can't be genuine in this world without that. And I've got kids, and that's like the hardest thing you have to teach them is that like the people basically the people outside your door, their opinion doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you got a kid and like someone says something mean to them, where they think it's just like, look, how do you explain to like a young child, like, that person's a moron and their opinion doesn't matter? Like, you can't say it like that, and you can't make them feel that. Like, that takes years of the world beating you down to where you can finally say none of this matters.
I think you know, if Cynic were here, he could state it way better than I could. Why he, you know, attempts to remain anonymous.
Yeah,
is he'll argue with these people who are defending this or that, right? Vile things, and they'll be on Twitter Spaces or whatever the hell in public, and those people are being forthright with their beliefs and disgusting things. And he's saying, no, we should not have whatever. So he's making himself a target. And then maybe you've heard of things like Kiwi Farms or whatever, kind of meant for doxing people, finding out whatever. Oh, found out somebody's email. Now we can, find out whatever else. And so there is a protection to it. So, but
Oh yeah, for sure.
I totally get what you're saying about the sincerity of standing up behind your name.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the goal. It should be the goal of power, of people in power, to make it so that good people can tell the truth publicly without fear of repercussion.
Yeah.
But we have the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jordan Peterson was doing this whole anybody who's anonymous online and saying things is this dark tetrad of psychological issues. And I'm thinking you're right on a few of them, and probably right for the most part, but in general, to say everybody should be required to use their kind of like a Chinese type X situation or something. I know China does have that type of thing.
Well, I think
your currency is everything is just all in one. And
when I think Jordan Peterson, as an example, is a good way. Anything he does on the internet, I think you should not do. I think he has a very unhealthy relationship with the internet. I think he's got some interesting points here and there, but his Twitter, like I've heard people who were like genuine fans of him, read the 12 Steps of Life and all that, but then they see his Twitter and they're like, oh man, this guy fucking sucks. Like I thought he was cool, and then he's just as fucked up as the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
that's why we love him.
Yeah. Well, real quick, my computer is about to die, and I can't use my mic if it's gonna to charge it. But also, I need to head to bed. I got work early in the morning, but I really enjoyed talking to you guys, and I'm looking forward to doing this again. I think this was a really productive chat. So, you guys take it easy and keep hope pilling people and showing them there's a way out of irony poisoning.
I hope so, man.
Right.
See you, Brody.
Right. See you guys.
Well, I'm fine staying on for a bit and see if Cynic's going to jump in as well. Are you up for it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think the thing with not to go off on a tangent about him, but I think the thing with Jordan Peterson is like that's a guy that probably spent close to 40 years in an environment where you could talk out an idea for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then get thrown into celebrity, got on something like Twitter, and dealt with the worst of society. And it's like, man, you didn't grow up in this environment. You're kind of used to maybe good faith argument and like this kind of idea. And like it's just a generational shock, probably, It
was kind of ironic too, that he was kind of marketing at some point he was marketing his self-authorship suite, I think, to 4chan. Like you use this code, find your fortune. Like it's fortune, but it's 4chan. Like, I'm looking at this. What are you doing?
I think that's that generational divide. Like I don't think you understand what 4chan is.
You could like reach down. You're like that's the depths, right? So you're just like reaching down. I'm trying to pull up, somebody, the spirit of youth. Or something, and trying to say that there's something salvageable. It's like maybe you don't want to get your hands dirty though. And to also make the point, the guy was going through a lot of stuff in his personal life. Right, his wife had cancer, and he became heavily influenced by
was it benzos?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it just wrecked him. And from the dosage that he reported that he was on, I said, "Holy shit! Somebody screwed up giving him that much." And he screwed up too, by not figuring it out, right? But a lot of people have a lot of stress about different things that makes them very on edge, right? And I don't know. I've been trying to be more understanding about stuff with people, right? Like giving a little bit more the benefit of the doubt. Like everybody's fighting an invisible battle we can't see, right? So try not to judge people too harshly right from the start.
I agree with that, and I think part of the problem with the internet, especially Twitter, and I've said this before, but it's true, and I mean it about myself as well, is that I think
Mm.
everyone comes off meaner than they actually are because
Yeah.
there's no nuance in text format. There's no,
There's no
vocal
voice
tone.
behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No face either, really, except anime girl PFP. All I know
Like,
is the girl from Fruit Basket insulted me yesterday.
damn, that must have hurt.
It was in Russian.
It was in Russian. I just discard anything that's in Russian.
I saw that's an old joke. It was like it never hit the translate button on a tweet, like no matter what the language is.
Might be a point to that.
But no, like
I think some things do need a translate button. Make sense of this and change this language to human.
well, like, just the fact, like even like the name you chose, like Reverend Self Destruct. I mean, that's clawing at something for meaning. It's to fight against what we've been talking about. This idea of just mass cynicism and irony, kind of being a prophet of cynicism. Just and it's hard making positive claims on the internet. I'm not talking about positive in like the good or uplifting sense, but positive as in it actually means something and has teeth. And there's something with that where you have to defend it, and that's even harder because if you're just ironic, you don't have to defend anything. It's just a joke.
Yeah, everything's a joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could take nothing seriously.
Yeah. But there is something serious behind it, and that's where going back to like that kind of like Sam Hyde meta irony thing is like there is in the dialectic there is something there, but it's not, and you get sick of it. You get sick of the cycle and the circle, and the term. I'm trying to tie all this together. The term that you brought up for people who kind of live in that and excel in that is grifter. It is that
Or
you're
hustler.
you're using this insincerity to sincerely sell something that benefits you. And I think I hate being the guy that always pits art versus money, but that's something I'm trying to work out a lot in my head. But I do think like the sacrifice or the crucifixion of money in your head from the start is the only way to make good art. I think you can sell your art later. I think that's fine, but I think you have to put monetary gain in exchange out of your brain and out of your heart before you make art, if that makes sense.
It does. But yeah, I don't know. Brody was saying, kind of weighing with that, right? Like, I don't know. So there's a thing like of digital comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've said like I don't need to buy any more physical comics, but so I'm mainly trying to go for just digital stuff. And if somebody doesn't have digital, that's going to shade my whether or not I support it or not, and or how much I want it too. It's like, well, I'll try out a digital for sure, and I don't know, and what's a fair price for a digital or something, and a lot of people are way too concerned with my art could be pirated. I was like, well, maybe that's what you want to some degree.
It's going to be pirated. Anything that exists is going to be pirated.
You'll find it on a few different websites. You'll find,
I didn't pay for ISOM.
Hey, I paid $5 for it, man. It's not.
You paid $5 too much.
Yet no. All right, $5 plus taxes, plus shipping and handling. So it was like $14. I'm like, oh god, like this is already too much. But I was there on day one as well when I looked at the price and I said, $35. This is this guy's first book.
Yep.
I don't know if it's. How can you charge premium price for it?
What made me mad is that I was at the time about to start selling a 100-page book for less than that. I was like, dude, I'm not paying $35 for this. I'm putting something in the chat. It's self-promotion, but not, kind of, but mostly it's to promote Brody. He wrote this, The Incantations, which is part of our Apollyon 20XX Apocrypha. check it out, guys. Like that's I'm trying to. He also did he did a mini comic and like a manifesto zine within like a world with him and his buddy, and I'll post a link to that as well. He sells them like they're kind of like mini self-printed black and white, and he sells them for like $3 a piece, I think, on his Shopify. I'll pull it up.
Okay.
Real quick.
Yeah, I must have pulled up Incantations and Lamentations.
Yep.
Second one. I must have pulled up those two on probably like 8 streams or something, just
Well, damn,
showing
man, I
people like,
appreciate
what
it.
the hell? Like, what? Look at this stuff. You guys got to check this out. Let me just pull this up for a minute, and then I leave it up for about 30 minutes or so. I'm like scrolling through it. People are like, whoa, what is this? What even is this? This is crazy.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
We're
it's crazy. It's good.
Well, and I wanted to like, we're not really sharing it out, but like we do conventions and stuff, and that's
Right.
fun. But we wanted to kind of do like our own kind of art exhibit, and find a way to like. We got our friend Colin who does the photography for all of our Apocrypha stuff. Brilliant photographer, guys like Brody. Josh is a wonderful artist, but like kind of like a art setup. Like you go and we've got like stuff broadcast on the wall. We've got like hanging things that are printed out. We got music going that goes with it. You got art installations like CRTVs set up, playing this kind of stuff, and really just make this big free thing for people to participate in to see like the bigness of the world. And it's if you're not giving people stuff, man, if you're not making an experience for people, like I don't know what to tell you. Like
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing then? Well,
you're trying to make money. You're trying,
hustling.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
well, that's the thing is like we were gonna make like even like kind of small zine that combined like parts of the comic, parts.
I like
of the
that idea a lot.
But the whole point is like when you get the zine and you scan a QR code, you go to a website and it's just 2 guys selling a book. Like that doesn't hit you in the like in the soul. It doesn't move you just because oh this is a product like this, like Stony Mick, all my content is free and has better story than ISOM. More power to you, man. That's awesome.
I don't know. That's not saying much. It's better than ISOM. I mean, that isn't saying much. I think I have ISOM.
I don't like crapping on Eric July just because I don't find him an interesting person. I have nothing against the guy. He has never kicked my dog. To me, the grifting thing goes both ways where it's like, clearly this guy is either incompetent or a grifter. And I think people that strictly monetize off of him are doing the same thing. I want to see something cool, you know?
Yeah. And I don't want to wait 5 years to see something cool.
I don't either.
I want to hear about how cool it is for 5 years. But that's a whole nother thing too, is, you and Josh are waiting till the book's finished to, start a campaign, to start selling it, really. Like, why sell a product that's not out? Because it's generating, you stay in people's minds, and there's some arguments to be made. Like, you stay relevant, but if somebody is really a fan, they're going to, or someone is really a fan, right? Okay, that sounds stupid, but if somebody's a deep fan, they're going to be looking your stuff up every so often or whatever, right? It's like, I wonder what's new with this guy, right?
Well, I think so too. I mean, my thing is, I know the stuff that I like, and I don't have to be reminded of it every 3 days. It's when you like something, you like it. When you don't, you don't. And I don't think you need to be bombarded to remember something that's cool. No, that's very true.
This is a good point. Yeah, this is a good point.
If you can't, especially if you know you're an artist, you can't, or whatever, and you're annoying, you look yourself in the mirror. Like I've said to Josh before, it's like the internet doesn't bother me so much because no one can say anything worse than I've said to myself. Like, when you have to live with yourself, you know how awful you are.
Well, that's what someone said about I don't want to see myself today. I'm taking the mirrors off the walls. No self-criticism today.
It'll still be there.
You can always find something. I mean, if you're a real person, sincere person, right? you can
Yeah.
always find something to critique yourself on.
Well, I have a
And,
wife. I've always got someone critiquing me.
and maybe she's right about 85% of it, 95% of it. It's like it depends on how you approach stuff as well. It's like, how do you really want to critique? So how do you really want to critique your husband or wife, right? Like it's
Here
like,
it
God,
is.
you're terrible at this. That was a terrible meal, whatever, right?
Here's I found the link to Brody's Shopify. I was searching the wrong thing. Let me pull this up real quick. I'll promote
Okay,
this dude because he's awesome. All right, I'm about to boomer this. Give me a second. Hold on a second. I don't want to share everything because I've got like some
share
stories.
tab.
I got some stories that I'm working on that I don't want to give away the names to right now. They're all just horrible racial slurs until they get real names. That's what it is.
That's what I would do. Just put something very vulgar on top,
All right. Yeah, you can find
working title.
You can find Brody's work here. He's also on Instagram as @Addison Brodi. He posts like bootlegs he makes. Like he made a bootleg Batman comic. He put it up there. This is one he did with his buddy. It's called the Piss Lord Manifesto, and it's kind of like an embrace and like decry of nihilism, as we were talking. It's like old school zine style, pretty cool. And then this is a short comic he did called "Who Are You?" that kind of deals with the idea of alienation and eternal bonding at the end. And he sells them for like $3 a piece, makes them himself. Pretty punk rock dude, man. And like I said, he did the incantations. People can check that out in the link as well. I'm really not good at shilling. I need to get better at it. That's something Black Angus tries to like yell at me about.
Well, there's only so much you can do. Sometimes the stuff has to sell itself. I mean, you pull it up, and you see, I'm not a good promoter, but I can pull up what somebody has sent me or whatever, or I can pull up incantations on whatever stream I'm on and just say like, check this out, guys, and then scroll through it. Anybody want to read this with me? Or I did that with your Ashcan on.
I appreciate that. I know you did. You may.
Yeah, on that one, and on Gray Cloud stream with Dennis Rodriguez as well, and one other stream I can't recall. And I just I figure it's just it's an Ashcan. It's meant to be No, it's not meant to be shared. Whatever. Don't share don't share our stuff.
That's a wonderful compliment. I mean, I greatly appreciate that. But I think art, you should make art that you can talk about with other people. It can be critiqued by other people, and it can be improved on by other people. And that's how I met you, and that's how I met Brody, is just talking about what I'm working on and being like, hey, like, what are ideas that are cool to do with this or not do with it, or to like that I can do with you. And I think that's what art's about. I think that's so much better than getting on, talking about whatever the topic of the week is that everyone's already seen, and then being like, buy my book.
And then the infomercial break. Yeah.
And or the rage baiting. And then like, I've never started them. I've never joined them, but I've been like 2 or 3 group chats, and I'm in like one where the topics are never interesting, and it's a lot of it's people saying like, here, follow my channel where I just talk about the thing that everyone already talked about this week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like people and I want to like help them, but it's like, man, at what point can you be like, are you making something, or are you just commenting on something someone else made?
Well, not even commenting original thoughts either. So like you said, just commenting what commenting the party line, right? Now Stoney's got me interested in this stuff.
I think I've actually seen Stoney's art. I think he's actually like a talented artist, because I know I follow him on Twitter, and I know I've talked to him before on other
talented, just extremely racist artist. I don't know.
He's like Salvador Dali.
Sometimes you take the good with the bad,
That's great. That's great, Gray. You're a real one, man. Gray has been a real big supporter.
Mhm.
I was able to turn him on to the girl from the other side. It's like a manga, and you're in the same chat with Gray. He's always posting some really cool stuff to check out.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Stone. And that's an even more important role that you're like helping someone, you're promoting someone, especially like your significant other. But
Yeah,
no,
well,
like,
Gray Cloud can do like little giveaways as well. He's got several people in the chat. Pretty much anytime
he's
he
a
goes
cool
live.
guy.
Yeah. What were you saying?
Well, I meant to ask you this. Like, I don't want you
Yeah.
to give away too much information, of course, if you're
Sure.
not comfortable with it. Like, what do you do? Because like you got a night job.
I do whatever gets me by, pretty much.
You're like a bounty hunter.
So just this time, it's like a little security thing. Place I know got some catalytic converters cut off a couple cars, and got an office broke into. I don't even know how long ago it was, but like, we need somebody to just hang out here and look at cameras every so often. I'm like, well, we can do that.
That's how horror movies start, dude.
Well, it's pretty much on a main type street, but still, they installed a big big light at the back and motion sensor type thing. And so I'm just hanging around there and watching stuff, and everything's okay. But it's screwing with me. Not. I don't know. It's destroying my online social life, for one thing.
Oh no!
I don't get
How terrible for you!
I don't get to hit up all the streams.
You're like I'm touching so much grass recently.
It's like I'm not touching so much grass. I'm just
you're the meme of the guy getting injected with hope, like against his will.
No.
Don't do that to me. Don't give me hope.
I really avoid all those streams that are like hate streaming. Right?
Yeah.
It's 1984 type shit. It's okay to hate this person today, this week. Yeah, 2 minutes hate just right away. Oh, this person. To go back to one thing I said earlier, is like somebody disagrees with me. I have an audience of thousands, so I'm going to repost that and just target my audience. Just aim my audience at them. I don't have to say, go find out things about this guy or whatever. It's just everybody back me up. It's okay to hate this person. It's okay to, I don't know. So the mask kind of slips as well, because a lot of stuff apparently had been going around for the longest time. Like, we don't really care if it's good art or a good story, and that's what I'm here for, right? Mm-hmm. Good art, good stories, and entertainment. So people really wouldn't care if it's good art, good stories, or entertaining, or the stream is entertaining, but it's a sense of community. And once that person is out of the community, once that person is out group, everybody's true feelings come out about them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. They've always felt all sorts of ways.
No, that's something Josh and I have done a very good job of avoiding, and on purpose, because we kind of observed indie comics for about a year before we started publishing anything. And it's a big stance, but it's like, look, I don't have a problem with anybody in any group or any kind of affiliation. I have problems with some individuals who are just, I found to be assholes, basically. Yeah. And fine, whatever. You have a problem with a person, then you get up, you brush yourself off, and you move forward and get over it. But if you're not making art and you're not pushing for that, and you're not, especially people, man, I'm going to go into this a little bit, like, not because I'm not a drama stirrer. Josh and I have no problem with telling someone how we feel, but I'm not going to call out and that kind of crap up here and weaponize audiences and all that. But we had a creator. His name was Tony James, and we've had him on twice now. And I saw this guy just getting like crapped on, basically.
The guy with the mustache.
Yeah, and I would talk to people, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, so and so said he's an awful person," And it's kind of like that middle school thing where you hear all about somebody. And then I sat down and talked to this guy. Like, there's nothing wrong with this guy. I find no problem with this dude. And then like I found out like he's on all these different channels. And like, no one, this guy's not a pariah. Like, no one, like I haven't seen where this guy has said anything controversial. I've said more controversial stuff than this guy has. And so we had him on, talked to him, and it turns out, okay, this is a smart dude that knows how to write. And something happened where some tweeter said he said pissed off somebody or pissed off 2 or 3 people, and now there's a whole stink about this dude. And it turns out the people that were raising Cain about it, 99% were probably just doing it to sell their own stuff. And it goes to this whole thing. It goes to this idea of putting money for people. And that's kind of what I talked to him about. Like, man, come on our show, talk to us. We don't have a big audience. Who cares? But we care about people in some kind of vague sense over money. Like it's not about making money, and it's not about building an audience. It's about like basically not dooming at the end of the day when you lay in your bed. Because I already hate myself enough.
Well, authenticity will do that, but it's kind of a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
help
it leaves you open.
things.
It leaves you open to attack, and it's like, okay, well, get thicker skin and go be authentic some more.
Well, and then the resilience aspect of getting piled on by all these other people. Yeah, so I grew my mustache out because I saw this guy with a mustache last week. I'm like, damn, that's a pretty good mustache. Was it last week?
Yeah,
last Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's
had him and BA Turner on.
Yeah, I like BA. Contrary to what someone said, like you hate BA. I couldn't get through a 600-page book.
Doesn't mean you hate somebody. It means you just don't want to read a book right now.
I think I was being hyperbolic with my criticism as well. Like, I don't know, there's misspellings here, and it's. I was probably I probably picked up the book again to compare it or to try to write myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just looking through stuff, and I was probably looking at some other book by some C.S. Lewis type or some really big brain person, and like,
good luck.
Writes in a certain and or poetry book or something, and then I'm like, no, this doesn't fit exactly how I would like it to or something. That's not the way I would have worded something, right? And,
what's funny is like you saw Tony and we're like, oh, I'll grow a beard. Like you saw BA and you're like, yeah, I'll grow my muscles that big in a week. Let me know how that goes.
Come back with those little floaties under your shirt.
You're like kettlebelling as we talk right now.
Don't make me pull out the shake weight. Get a gray cloud excited.
Speaking of poetry, let me grab this real quick. I got you might be able to appreciate this. Give me a second.
All right. Let me be right back as well. Back in a second.
All right. Well, while self-destruct is away, I'm going to pull up and shill a bit because I have an artist that works with me, and he does most of the work because he's an artist, which means it's my job to shill. So give me a second. All right. On our site right now, we have a free to read page. It's godfelluniverse.com/free to read, or you can just go to godfelluniverse.com and click free to read up here at the top. We've got both of our series, chapter ones, volume 1, chapter 1's free to read. If you haven't checked them out, I recommend you do. They at least don't suck. I can say that with confidence. So we've got Biophile Kolga here, chapter 1 you can check out. We got Apollyon 20XX right here, you can check out as well. Whoop. Might help if I actually clicked on it. There we go. You can read those. We also have the Apollyon 20XX Complete Apocrypha as of now, which is the Lamentations, the Revelations, Incarnations, Invocations, and Incantations. Maybe I should make one called Alliterations while I'm at it. But this is a lot of stuff right here, especially these three. This is prose work, photography, poetry, speaking of which, and some stuff in between. This is 4 books here. Each one's kind of broken into their own subsets. I think this is close to 3 or 4 or something 100 pages altogether right now. We release these every time we put out an Apollyon series. So go check that out for free. We're about to do Biophile Kolga Book 2 in just a maybe like
I have not seen the
month
4th.
or 2. What's that?
Is my mic scratchy?
Okay.
Is it?
No, you're good.
Okay. I know my visual's choppy, but I haven't seen the 4th Apocrypha.
We've got Lamentations, we've got Revelations, and then Incarnations, Invocations, and Incantations right here.
Why did I see a number 4?
I don't know. Maybe you're insane.
No, it was a world or a word or something. I can't rewind.
May have been. We've got a. You're probably looking at the Lamentations here. There is 4 books within that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. See, I thought you had something else out you weren't telling me about.
No, I'll tell you everything, man. You're in the Discord.
Yeah.
I'm putting out something big with Kolga 2. It's going to be the Biophile Codex, and it'll be book 1 of that. And what it is, it's going to be titled the Biophile Codex, Biophile Marcus. And what it is it's Kolga telling the history of when she was a child in the Biophile Initiative, and she has broken it down into 4 to 5 books, each titled a member of the initiative. So Biophile Marcus will tell the story of Marcus the Blood Usher and his discovery of this apocalyptic cult that he works for, basically undermining the entire world, while this figure called the Acolyte, which works for the priesthood, is also putting pressure on him to create these new kind of beings that are going to hold the world together from the foundation of the earth. And their only goal that they can think of is basically to leave the planet. And there's a lot more into it than that, but it's written from her kind of diary perspective, detailing the origins of the initiative and Biophile Marcus's role in it. And then the second one will be Biophile Biophile Silius, the Stone Shaper, who's kind of like a tech guy in that era. And then Biophile Saul, which is her father, who's a whaler. And then Jaelish the Zealot, which will be the story of her and a young guy and how they basically subverted the population at the time and something of a Marxist revolution to help get the initiative going, and her guilt for that. So altogether, it's going to be kind of like the size of probably large novel. Like we're probably looking at like 400 to 500 pages for all of it together. And I'm going to get Brody, who was on here, to do the art for the codex, and we're gonna try to push the limits of what digital PDFs can do. That's the plan, hopefully, to make digital actually feel like art. Maybe involve GIFs, maybe involve like hidden videos or something like that. Like we really are just excited to see, and it might start small and grow, but that's my goal, man. My goal is like, because I got really pissed off when someone recommended like web comics to me. I'm just gonna go off on like slight rant with this, and I'm sorry, but we put out Apollyon 1, and there was a well-meaning creator. I'm not gonna say their name. Nice guy. The feedback he gave us was, well, you can't read it top to bottom like a web comic. It's like, yeah, it's not a web comic. And I'm not trying to be mean, but like, that sucks. Like I want physical books, and if I'm going to do something digital, it needs to feel special in its own right. Webcomics to me just kind of feel like crap, and I've tried reading them. I don't like it. Whatever. Not trying to be a dick. But long story short, if you're gonna have to have digital, I want it to feel special and feel cool. You know?
Well, I got the digital. You know, I got the 4.93 gigabyte digital catch up.
Thank you.
Everything, and stuff looks great on you know, side by side as you would a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just reading it like that, and honestly, then I can zoom in and see what's actually going on, because I would think with some, especially the first, the cover page where, you know, you go into the timeline of the universe, right?
Yep.
I think you would need a magnifying glass to see that on a physical, you know.
Yeah, something like it's it depends on like how it's printed. Like on Kolga, it's smaller, it's a manga size, and on a Poly, it's bigger.
Okay.
But it's like, I don't know, like this is what I kind of wanted to go with at first, but then we were playing around with Brody's got this program called Intune, I think it's called. I might be saying that wrong, but it's basically a way to push the limits of PDFs. And if you're not making art, like if you're not trying, I can find it real quick. I don't know if I want to search this on my computer. Maybe I do. Give me a second.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
I don't know what it's gonna pull. I don't know what's gonna pull up on YouTube. So give me just a second. Oh yeah, okay, this will work. So CCRU. This is something that Brody and I discussed, but when we first met, this guy named Nick Land, who was like a super left wing, crazy accelerationist when he was in college, and now he's like a crazy right wing accelerationist. Him and these guys came up with this thing called the CCRU, which is the Cybernetic Culture Research Unit, where they used like philosophy papers, technology papers, and like alchemical and magical and esoteric writings to put together like this vision for the future.
Oh man.
Yeah, like see digital hyperstition.
Damn.
So you can get a PDF of this for free. Like you can find it on like archive.com, I'm sure. But we looked a lot of this stuff while we were working on the newest Apocrypha, and really wanted to take this and push it even further. And you know, this is I've lost friends over this kind of stuff. If I'm being honest with you, Destruct, because like I read stuff and I will even like say and discuss stuff that I don't believe in.
Right.
Because I think that's how you learn things, right? And
you can play devil's advocate about a lot of stuff, and like, what would you think about
exactly?
And yeah, that can upset people. I mean,
well, I picked this up when I was first writing like the first Apocrypha, which is Mencius Moldbug's Unqualified Reservations, and that was before like he was known as Curtis Yarvin, which is his real name, and before he was like known that he's like a super right wing thought activist kind of guy for like technology in the future. And it's like, okay, well, I read this, don't agree with it, but it's really interesting to read and to know that this is the kind of thought, especially now that it's kind of what people are believing now, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're not doing that kind of stuff for art, like I don't know, like to me, it's like how many Justice League ripoffs can we get?
That's a fair point.
Like
That's
stuff
a very
like this.
fair point.
I just love this kind of stuff. You know, like I don't know. So I was shilling my stuff, and now I'm shilling Nick Land's CCRU.
It's like little influences, right? I mean, that's what I would be most interested to hear about. Okay.
Yeah, but see, that's instantly cool to look at. Like,
definitely.
This is for like nerds who like Tool and Rush, right? Well, you're a Nine Inch Nails fan, you know.
Yeah, well, Tool's before that. Well, same time. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think Nine Inch Nails came out first, and like what, like 87, something like that.
I think so. I just watched Alien. What is it? Alien Earth. 3 episodes are out. At the end of the second episode, Tool's Push It just comes on full power. I'm like, holy shit, that's great. I was watching it with somebody else, but like, you know, this song is about something else.
Yeah.
it just hit the vibe though. But well, and then they're letting the songs play all the way through.
Oh,
too.
nice.
So I said, wow, that's very good. But maybe tell the kid don't pay attention.
Well, like
Okay,
this.
now I'm finally not lagging. Jeez.
This is from Incarnations, and the idea is like, okay, this guy is recording this event that happened online where a post appeared on basically all social media within like seconds of itself, and it immediately gets written off as a hoax, but it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder, and it's called the Corazon thread. And slowly you realize, like through this accumulation of the text that it's sent out, which is here, and then through various stories, like part 2 is just called Leviathans, and it's a guy retelling an old story, an alternate creation myth that his grandmother told him, but it shadows what's happening with the Corazon thread. And then this guy wrote an academic paper called Jesters, Changelings, and Kings, which is about how power gets subverted, kind of like what we were talking about through irony or criticism. And then part 4 is the God that can only fill on its continuous monument. This is a combination of analyzation of AI as we know it, compared with the continuous monument, which is this artistic. This was a purposeful, ironic idea that was put forth in the 70s by a guy who's like, here's like how architecture will keep going and we should just go all the way with it. He was being ironic to show that like if you keep going, it's going to take over the world basically. And he called it the continuous monument to tie it all back in. But anyway, so I wrote all this, and then it ends with part 5, the silent planet Corazon unraveled. And basically this guy doesn't really know what's going on, but in the greater world, it's an AI that he thinks has become sentient and is replicating itself over the internet, and no one can tell what's real or fake anymore, even in reality. And that ties in with the Imperial metal from Apollyon 20XX. But anyway, to tie it all in together, like this idea with the continuous monument, this guy is using irony to prove sincerity. That's a lot. But
no, I get it, but I'm just kind of stunned by just looking at the stuff. But no, I watched a YouTube video the other day, a few days ago, something like top 10, somebody's top 10 of like some kind of horror deities, right? One of them was this AI that was built to serve man, right? And built, it to construct a city, to construct food, to do all this, all that. And it was controlled by someone's or by everybody's a genetic code inside of everybody. And they don't know what happened. It's like things are lost, right? Things have been lost to time. So you don't know, you don't know what's going on in terms of the timeline, but you know that at some point humans lost the gene for the control of the machine. That is everything. And it's a self-replicating machine that just keeps building cities and everything, and not just cities, but it seems to be like a flat earth type cosmos thing that just stretches out forever, and people have de-evolved right into just people who will dwell inside of this hyperstructure, and the main character is just this guy who's constantly walking through there trying to find someone with the genetic code that can restart humanity, basically.
Oh, what was this called?
Oh God, I will find it,
because that sounds familiar.
It was a short story. No, it's based on a manga, I believe. I'll have to go through my YouTube history. Or damn, I think I watched it in another browser. But that was great. And also in this guy's top was Evangelion, just the
nice
instrumentality. And I'm like, wow, that's funny to hear somebody say.
See, we need to get you, Brody, myself, and Cynic to talk just about the human instrumentality idea, because the more you research it, like, it's super Gnostic, like the entire idea, and it's super alchemical, like breaking down everything into like the gold of the origin, which is the human spirit or whatever, all together in the orange fluid. I love how that show kind of accidentally like blew its own mind.
Was oh, man, it's a favorite, and I tried to turn my camera off for a second, right, and that's what kicked me out of everything. I don't know what the hell's going on with the PC, but I have this little icon of Shinji's bloody hand gripping his chest, and his I'm like, damn, I wanted to show that.
At least that's all he's gripping.
There you go. End of Ava. I'm so fucked up.
I got to see that in theater last year.
Really?
Yeah, it blew my mind. It's the best. I'll never see another movie in theater that's ever going to top that experience. Here, I got to show you this. Let me see if I can make this work. Please excuse the messiness of it, but that is the End of Ava VHS box.
Yeah.
It's also got a booklet that has like all of the scenes, like the cells of each of the animations in it. That is like my prized possession. Like that movie is my favorite work of art of all time.
Hey, it's worth being a prized possession. It's worth being someone's sole prized possession, really.
It's Evangelion is the one kind of like franchise I geek out over.
I mean, pretty much same, but you're aware that when Netflix remade it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the rights to any of the music or something, so they just like, oh, we'll just make it without the music.
Mm-hmm.
Just, how can you take the music out of something? Can you not put another score in there?
And they redo the dubs and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just I haven't even tried to. I tried to watch it at some point. Like I'll just watch it on this website, and like, no, this is not hitting. Something's off about it. What's it's like? Like creepy feelings. Like, what is this noise? It's like
yeah, you just castrated this entire thing.
That's a big thing to say about Ava.
Well, it's true. It's like whenever you, like you said, when you rip out like the music, that's like what you're doing. The music is such a massive part of it. And right now, like I'm just promoting this is shilling. This is the Apollyon 20XX Invocations. People can read it for free. Read it. This is the work of Colin Finlayson. He's on Instagram as a CS Finlayson, FINLAYSON. Brilliant photographer from South Carolina, of all places. And he does it all from his phone. Like he literally on his days off just walks around and finds things to somehow transcend reality. Like
yeah, man, if I had my phone from 2008 or something, right? I had everything good in there. I could just snap the perfect size pictures of everything and just manipulate them really easily. And now everything's so complicated.
Oh yeah, I can't figure out anything. I work in IT and I can't figure out my phone half the time. And I hate IT, so maybe that's part of it.
Yeah,
but
I really can't deal with computers. Deal with them enough.
Here it is. Here's his handle for everybody if you want it. It says c.s.finlayson on Instagram. Super humble guy, super cool dude. He posts infrequently, but whenever he does, it's like the best thing ever. There you go. Put that in the chat. But I know it's going around in circles, and I was waiting for Cynic to jump in and add to it, but I kind of just sense that too, man. I sense that there are people, because I know it's for me, and I think that people are longing for authenticity and longing for something that gives them something in return for their money.
So, money isn't just money. Money is time spent. It's your time spent doing something you might hate. Mm-hmm. Right. So there's so much energy in, currency. Right. And if you're getting ripped off, nickeled and dimed with every little thing, you're not going to be happy about whatever you get in the end. You're going to have, some pre-jaded opinion. Like, yeah, I have it now, but do I really want it?
Well, and I know this is kind of arguably like a totalitarian view, and I know for a fact it's a religious view, and that's fine with me, and I'll go to bat for that. But it's like I do feel like, because it's hard to live up to, that every action you do is either making the world like better or worse. Like,
right.
I'm not trying to, and we can go down a rabbit hole, because I do believe that art is not by definition political, but I could argue from another standpoint that there is no neutrality in your actions,
Mhm. Yeah.
and you are either making the world brighter or darker. And I forgot, I know it was Lewis, but I forget how he said it, where he's like, you're not even meeting like a normal person every day. A person is not a person. A person is either becoming like an angelic being of pure love and light, or they're becoming like a demonic horror. And you play like in that opera of their life to some degree.
Yeah.
You can't control someone, but to some degree you help them on one of those two roads.
You can add to the positive or add to the negative. And adding to a negative, I don't know, might be silly sounding, but you can see it in people.
Mm-hmm.
You could see it in just the way they carry themselves, or everything they do, especially online. And you might try not to judge people or something, but it's like judge not lest ye be judged. But you try not to judge people, but you have to call a worm a worm at some point.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing, is like, that's the harder part, I think, of the realities of that we're in now. Like, you don't want to be a jerk, you don't want to be cruel, but sometimes things are just wrong and they need to be corrected, and they need to be faced, and they need some kind of force against them. And sometimes that force has to be you.
No, I'm backing out of all this stuff. Just attachments to any little thing. Like I don't need to be someone else's moral guy, somebody else's Jiminy Cricket. Some people, people should know right from wrong. It shouldn't be down to me to. But I get what you're saying, completely. Yeah. But it's not that I disagree with it necessarily. I'm just making a statement that I. That's what I'm living by. Joyful participation in the sorrows of the world, and non-participation as well. I don't have to be the one to take everybody's slings or arrows.
Oh yeah.
So I'll put on some glasses, so maybe somebody doesn't find me by reverse image search on whoever in my family's Facebook or whatever.
Plot twist: your real name is self-destruct.
yeah. Well, that'd be something. Might be.
I just got a message from Cynic. He can't make it tonight. That's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine wrapping it up, man. I don't want to drag it on out. But I've loved having you on here, and I'd love to have you on here more. Brody and I are already setting up the next topic for next week. If you'd like to join.
All right. Next week is the end of the month.
No, Labor Day.
Of the month. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm gonna quit my job and about that time, and
I hope maybe I'll be part of that decision.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll be in a better zone, because I was like, man, I gotta wake up early for this.
I'm sorry, man.
No worries. I'm just saying, I gotta wake up early. I was just like out of it. I was waking up like every couple of hours, like, oh man, just rolling around, like, oh geez, I gotta go back to sleep. I gotta wake up.
Is this the first like night shift job you've had?
What have I done? I don't know. It's the most it's the one that's caught me at like maybe the worst time. had the most effect on me, like maybe the longest period. I don't know. Usually spend about 3 months at one place or something. 3 months or 3 weeks,
Oh, I get that, man.
Get out of here.
If I didn't have a family, I wouldn't be working the job I'm working right now.
Right. Do what you hate so that you can do what you love.
I think there's a discipline in that, to be honest.
It's like putting up with the slings and arrows to stay moral, right? Just to stand up, to hold to your own beliefs, to hold steadfast to your own beliefs.
I think so. But I'll let you go, man. And everybody in the chat, all both of you, whoever is here, thanks for coming by. I'm not good at shilling this, but we'll just do it again soon. And if you're interested in picking up our comics, you can go to godfoeuniverse.com, pick them up. We also have an Indiegogo, or not an Indiegogo, it's Kickstarter or whatever, or an Indiegogo. Maybe it's both. And just search for us, Godfoe Universe. You'll find us. You'll find our active campaigns. And we're launching Kolga 2 in the next couple of months. And I hope to be talking with Self-Destruct more often, man.
Yep, definitely. Peace and love, guys.
Peace, guys. Have a good night.
See you soon. Yeah.